increasingly divisive issue across the country is the topic of when it'll be safe to reopen schools. The CDC has said that it's safe for students to go back to school even if teachers haven't been vaccinated, but the teachers' unions say otherwise. The stakes are highest for students of color in major urban districts, whom studies show are losing ground the longer they are out of the classroom. Louis Friedberg, executive director of EdSource, added that this is arguably the most contentious issue currently as major cities are dealing with lawsuits and battles between teachers' unions and the school districts. According to reports, on the surface, it seems that kids could and should be back in school as children contract COVID-19 less frequently than adults. Transmission among students is uncommon and the risk of transmission in elementary schools is very low. However, even if kids are safer, there are teachers and adults who don't have the same protections and are vulnerable to contract COVID-19. On the other hand, the research with distance learning suggests that kids need to be back in school given their social and emotional stress level, which show high levels of depression, anxiety, PTSD due to social isolation. The research also shows declining of grades, lower participation rates, and higher student absences. Professor Tyrone Howard added that school reopening should not be a one-size-fits-all solution and should be based on a district-by-district decision-making process. He stressed about the social and emotional well-being of students, which is a serious issue that has been caused not only due to social isolation, but also the pandemic itself and loss of loved ones. Howard's concern is that once schools reopen, they will not have the bandwidth to invest in counselors, therapists, or social workers to help the kids who need it. Another issue is learning loss, especially in communities of color, which will have to be solved once schools reopen with intense academic enrichment programs, mandatory summer school, and individualized tutoring. The plan for teachers is also unclear as many are not comfortable going back to school. Therefore, the conversation about reopening schools cannot be addressed without making sure that teachers feel protected, valued, and safe. Akhil Vora, the executive director of Asian American Lead, added that minority students lack access to tutors and learning centers that affluent communities have been able to take advantage of during this time. Many of these children have to handle childcare responsibilities, jobs, and learning in more challenging home environments. He said that virtual classes have also made students disengaged and become bored of the process. It's also difficult for kids to get support from teachers and counselors during this time. Prior to reopening schools, he said that not only do the COVID safety protocols need to be in place, but to ensure that schools and districts are taking measures to ensure cultural competency. Ultimately, this complicated issue is not about reopening schools, but is much deeper that needs to be addressed from multiple directions that will benefit and be the safest for kids, teachers, and parents alike.